One Voice Africa.
Well, my name is Olubusayo Shomide Omoshulu. First an African, a mother, a wife. I was a broadcaster with the Dark Communications PLC, and now an African diplomat. As I said earlier, that I'm a mother, an African mother. My mission is to see African children being raised with the proper values and culture of the African continent. I desire to see African children imbibing the culture of the African continent and transforming into responsible adults. If you're raised by an African family, count yourself lucky. We have the best family system. In Africa, you don't need to be related by blood before you are addressed or seen as a family member. You can come from the same community, the same country. We see ourselves as one, brothers and sisters. So when a child is not just raised by the family, its immediate or nuclear family or extended, a child is raised by the community. So if you come from the African background or if you're raised by an African family, consider yourself lucky. Because you see most children these days, when they go abroad, African children that are being raised by African families, when they go abroad, they do well, they excel. When you see the statistics of Africans or of African children that are schooling abroad, you see that they are excelling because of the values that the values they've inculcated, the African values, the discipline, the respect. They are responsible. They end up being responsible children, responsible adults, and they excel in every area they find themselves. In every spheres of their life, they excel both educationally, psychological wise, socially, morally, and they are disciplined. You'll see the African values in them. Well, as an African parent, if you give your children the basic training, they will never depart from it. Even the Bible says that train up your child in the way you want your child to grow, and the child will not depart from it. So if a child is morally strong, if a child has learned the values, the culture of the African continent, I don't think any external influence can change the child. I don't think a child will now abandon the values, what the parents or the African setting has taught the child. Well, there are some things in the so-called Western setting that we can imbibe. Even Western education now is part of the values the Westerners has brought, which we adopted. Western education and every other thing, yes. But if a child has a good background, the child will never depart from it. I will not want to go into certain areas, but as an African parent, when you bring up your child, when you train up your child in the desired way, in the African way, if you train up your child, if you tell your child, don't do this, don't do that, your child will not, even if it won't be influenced by any peer pressure or anything. Your child will do your child will follow your path, the path you've laid down. Well, my advice to children and to mothers out there is that give your child or your children the right values. Pass the right values to your children. And we desire in Africa to train or to raise responsible children. Children should start taking responsibility for their future. They should learn to be independent. They should learn when they see themselves. Let me quickly use myself as an example. I lost my parents at an early age in life while I was in higher institution. But the values they've passed across was there. I became orphaned when I was in university, but the values has helped me to be who I am today, to be a responsible adult. I know my parents will not be happy if I do this, if I follow my peers to certain places, or if I indulge in some certain things. So as African parents, try to firstly, know the kind of friends your children mingle with. Know the kind of friends your children mingle with, and tell them about drugs. Tell them never to indulge in drugs, because it really affects, it has adverse effects on children and their future. And as children, try to be responsible adults. Have a good role model, not the role models we have today. Have a good role model. In Africa, we have good people. We have people like late UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. We have in Nigeria, we have the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Mr. Emeka Anyaoku, and so many other people. These are people you look up to. Professor Wole Soyinka, those are the kind of role models you should have. Aspire to be like them, not the other way, and don't do drugs. And parents should try to raise their children up in the way of the Lord or whatever religion they believe in, and try to inculcate the good habits, the right values on your children. Thank you. Well, I would like to project and promote the good image of the African continent. Africa is a beautiful place to be. I've met people in the international community, at conferences, hearing about, or people that don't know about Africa. Even in the Caribbean, some Jamaicans, let me use that as an example, they feel Africa is a country and not a continent. But I like to tell them that Africa is a continent and it's a beautiful place. Africans are hospitable people. We are good people. Unlike they believe that Africans live on the tree, it's not like that. Africa is actually a beautiful continent. We have different countries and we have different regions. We have the West Africa, Southern Africa, East Africa, and Central Africa. So Africa is a beautiful continent. If I'm to represent or to talk about Africa, we are hospitable people. Anywhere you go, I'm proud to be an African, and I'll always promote and project the good image of the African continent. Thank you.
One Voice Africa.